Hi guys, it's Andrew Simpson from easypyro here, and I just want to take a few minutes today to talk to you about these Talon igniters, exactly what they are, why you need them, and how you're going to connect them to your firework. So if you use a firing system to set off a firework, you're going to need some kind of igniter. What an igniter really does is just takes electricity from the firing system and converts it into heat one way or another. That heat is then used to ignite the fuse on your firework, which obviously then goes into the firework, and then the firework either launches or explodes or does whatever it's going to do. So Talon igniters are a bit different from electric matches, which are what the professional firework display companies use. Talon igniters are specifically for consumer fireworks. They're really easy to use, and all you do is just clip them onto the delay fuse that comes out the side of your firework. So usually coming out the side of your firework, you're going to have some green visco fuse like this. All you do is you take your Talon igniter, you squeeze the jaws so they open up, and you should be able to see there's a tiny spring kind of bridge wire in there. When you put the fuse into the clip and squeeze it down, that bridge wire is going to be wrapped around the fuse, and then when electricity passes through that, it's going to glow white hot and it's going to ignite the fuse. There's definitely a couple of do's and don'ts you have to keep in mind when using these though. So do insert the fuse like this, perpendicular at 90 degrees to the actual clip. Don't try and poke it in from the side, because you're going to snag the bridge wire and eventually snap it. So squeeze the jaws to open them, put the fuse in, press it down, and squeeze like this. And you should get quite a secure lock. I wouldn't ever recommend taking the fuse back out of the clip, because you do run the risk of breaking the bridge wire again. If you do need to take it out, just do it very carefully, so don't ever yank it out to the side like that, because you'll break the bridge wire. Squeeze the jaws again, work it out of the notch, and bring the fuse out like that. And if the bridge wire is okay, you're probably going to be able to look in and actually see it. And of course you also do have a continuity test on your firing system, so you'll be able to see if there's a good electrical connection. The great thing about Talon igniters is that, unlike e-matches, you don't have to bend the fuse back and forth to break the lacquer, you don't need to use a special connector, you don't need to use any tape to tape it to the fuse. Having said that, when you do clip it onto the fuse, there is always the risk that when these wires go back to your firing system that they can get snagged on things or you can trip over them. So an idea, certainly for ground-based cakes and effects, not for rockets, but for ground-based cakes and effects, you probably want to just use some tape and tape the whole fuse and igniter assembly to the side of your firework. That means that if you snag on the wire or trip over it, then chances are the tape's going to hold everything in place, and the igniter's not going to get ripped out of the fuse. So if you do that, you're going to get good, reliable ignition. Right, so what I'm going to do is, now I've clipped this on, we're going to connect it to our firing system, and then we're going to fire it and see what happens. So here is a Rhino Fire Step 13 sequencer. I'm going to take the end of our igniter. You see, like all igniters, you're going to have two bare metal wires. You just want to strip them apart. You definitely don't want the igniter wires to touch each other, because that means that the current will flow through the short where they're touching and not through the igniter head, so the igniter won't go off. So it's very easy. We just put one wire in and then the other wire. It doesn't matter which way they go around. Pull it off to the side like that. You can see our igniter is connected here to our bit of fuse. We would usually then run a test, and you can see that we've got good continuity indicated by the block. Then we'd arm our system, and then we could go ahead and fire the igniter. Now, I'm not going to do this right here holding it over the firing system, because I know this is going to make quite a lot of smoke and noise. So if you just hang on a second, we'll arrange something else. Okay, so all I've done here is just put down a heatproof mat to protect the bench, and I've clipped the igniter into some crocodile clips here, which will hold it in a safe place. So the system is still armed. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to fire that igniter in 3, 2, 1. So you can see that was a successful test, and we had instantaneous ignition of the fuse.